Oh, here we go. I've heard some news and I think that we need to get into it. The buyers are searching online and they're looking for affordability. They're concerned about affordability constraints because there's 25% of buyers out there who cite that their biggest barrier to purchasing a house is affordability. Their other concern is that even though over the last 10 months that the rates have dropped down to around 6.58 to like 6.7, it still remains elevated. And the experts caution that it may not go so low. Got so used to that 2.53%, but it's not going to go down and dip like we thought it was. But sellers have taken so much advantage of this, and they have been refinancing their homes. About 25% of sellers have actually started to submit those applications for refinancing, but the buyers, they're like still on the sideline. They're like, okay, whatever, you guys can refinance your home, but I'm still not buying a house right now. And we have found out that, buyers are actually using AI to search for mortgages and like, what does this all mean? But we know, I'm all about tools. Use as many tools as you can get out there, but you still need to come to the professionals and kind of like, sometimes garbage in, garbage out. So you want to make sure that you validate the information that you receive from AI, especially nowadays. It's going to get better, better, better in the future. But right now, we want to come to our professional lenders and realtors to find out if the information you got from AI is actually good. So my name is Suzette Loggins. I am your local premier realtor here in the greater Sacramento area. And I have my guy, Mike, here.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mike Koran, the Mortgage Man, and I'm primarily all over the Bay Area and California in general, and always here to help.
Today, we are tackling the biggest questions that buyers have right now and giving you some real answers. So, rates have been the big topic. Everyone knows that the rates have been the big topic. So, where are they right now? So, I just shared that they're right in the mid sixes. And what do buyers need to know heading? We're ending, well, it's so crazy. We're almost ending 2025, and we're almost coming up to 2026 into the new year. So we want to find out from Mike, what do buyers really need to know and be aware of, kind of calming down some of those fears that they're having right now?
It's such a great question, and we've been waiting for this information for a long time. And the results are in, which is that we are finally heading into some better rates. And, to start with, here we are in August. If you were looking at the difference of rates just 3 months ago to today, the average buyer at rates in today's like mid sixes compared to, seven and a little above seven that they climbed to, that's about $20,000 for an average buyer in purchasing power. So if you're again comparing what you could get in May to August, you should be able to afford about $20,000 more on average. And of course, that's going to be higher in many cases, depending on the purchase price and loan amount size. But where that really takes us, and it's so important to know, is this is good news for buyers because although home prices are rising still, they're losing steam. They're not rising exponentially. And the median home price rose about 2.5% year over year, which still is appreciation. It's still gain, but it's not the 5-10% appreciation that we saw over the pandemic years. And these small increases start to entice sellers to be willing to sell their property, even if they're holding on to a lower interest rate. So, one thing we're seeing now is asking prices are coming down. And from a buyer's perspective, this gives them an opportunity to negotiate. So, more inventory and more opportunity to negotiate are crucial elements for the buyers to be driving the market. And ultimately, that's between lower rates, some negotiation power, and prices not rising so fast. We are entering into the best buyer's market we've had in a long time.
That's great. But people are super fearful because one of the about 33% of those buyers, they felt that they are being priced out of the market. That's what you hear is like, okay, inflation, and then people's salaries are not going up at the same rate of inflation. And so what programs are out there or coming? How can we kind of give them a little bit of solace, like knowing that maybe the government is going to come and save the day a little bit? Like, what's going on out there? What kind of programs may come their way to
Yeah.
help them in this situation?
Yeah, I mean, number one thing that always comes to mind are all the homeowners we help with down payment assistance. So there are programs out there where you can get some money towards the purchase and the closing costs and down payment. And that really can be the bridge or the gap that is needed to be filled for those that have some money, but not enough to cover the closing costs and down payment of a purchase. Always tap into those resources. And ultimately, that kind of leads to the next part, which is if it is more of a buyer's market and you have a seller who is really needing to sell and they're not getting the activity that they need, there's ways to build into the structure of your offer where the seller can contribute towards a credit, where that can be used not only towards closing costs, but there's also programs where we can use credits to buy the rate down. And there's a wonderful program called a temporary rate buy down where we can use the credits to go from the market rate to either 3% below that in year one or 2% below that in year one. So, if rates are in the mid sixes and you go 2% below, all of a sudden you're starting with 4.5% or, somewhere around there. Then what happens is year two jumps up 1%, you're now to 5.5%, which is still way below what today's current market is. So those are great incentives to help buyers who are still struggling on the payment and want to get in, maybe have the down payment money saved, but they don't have enough for both, just getting as creative as possible with different programs. And that's really enticing because ultimately home ownership from a long-term perspective is much, much more advantageous to wealth building than being a renter. And so if you can start to get your mortgage payment on par with what a rent would be, it becomes a no-brainer to become a homeowner. Where we were last year and the year before, where rates were pushing 8% and there was no creative programs, being a homeowner was extremely costly. And even though you're not building wealth by being a renter, it's a lot less coming out of your monthly paycheck. And so, we're starting to really see the level playing field come back where it is making a lot more sense to become a homeowner again. And that's just really exciting for the market as a whole.
Exactly. And that's perfect. And for some of you out there, especially if you know me personally, I'm not one to push home ownership because I'm one to say, and I will definitely say this, home ownership may not be for you. But if you are that type of person who really wants to own a home, then there's all kind of ways that you can do it. So again, if you are looking to purchase a home and that's something that's in your cards and that's something that's in your goal, and maybe you have your goal, your board, or your wish board, or whatever that may be, and that's something that's in your dreams and something that you've always wanted. It may not be right now, but it's something in your future. Make sure you give me a call. I have my name, my information below. I have Mike's information below. And again, nothing high pressure at all because again, home ownership is not for everyone. Not everyone is cut out to be a homeowner, and that's okay. No pressure, no judgment zone. But again, if it's something for you, again, we're here to make sure that you have that game plan for it. So that's awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. So the last thing, AI, okay, it's gonna rule the world, you guys. It's gonna rule the world, but it doesn't rule it right now. People rule the world.
Yeah.
So using AI versus using the expert advice. You know what? Everything is a tool and everything can be good. So I just got to sharing that 40% of buyers right now are using AI to go out and, kind of like figure out about this mortgage situation. But again, even on the real estate side, most people find their home actually online. But what happens? Almost 90% of people use their realtor to purchase a house because, again, people really kind of make things happen. So even if you use the AI to calculate something, you still need to have someone to kind of like walk you through it sometimes. So Mike, what is your take on this? Like,
Yeah.
let me hear from you.
You're right. AI is being used in every instance, whether it's real estate, your job, your personal life, and it's really powerful. It's incredibly powerful. Now, my take on it is that just like you said, it's a tool. And so if you start any search using AI, you want to finish that project with a true professional, a human being that can talk you through what is true and what is not, fiction and fact, because AI is pulling data from online sources. And a lot of times the sources might not be accurate. So I'll give you a good example. I had a client who's in escrow and they took the loan estimate that we gave them and asked AI for to basically run facts and if it's accurate, and AI came back and said, here's a rate range which was right in the same rate range that we were offering, and here's what the payments should be, and the payments weren't including the PMI. It didn't even factor in the fact that this is a 3% down, 97% financing. So the client came rushing back. Oh my gosh, it looks like the payment's too high. Can you get this down? And we went in, we realized this is identical minus the PMI. So you can't take it for face. You have to take it at face value and do the actual professional background to make sure that what you're finding is legitimate. It's similar. A good analogy is like we can all go online and find listings, but we don't want to use Zillow to buy a home. We want an actual human being who's going to help us negotiate that purchase, and that's the realtor. So on the lending side, AI might tell you, hey, here's a rate range, here's a payment range. We have to dig in to the actual principal and interest, the actual PMI, if there is it, the actual property taxes by pulling the tax rate and figuring out the exact amount that it's going to be. And then, of course, similar with insurance, you cannot estimate insurance anymore, and AI has no idea how to do it. You have to go to an insurance agency who's going to pull the records of the property and actually give an actual premium to so that you know what that's going to cost.
Wow, this is a lot of information. So hopefully all this information that we've provided you is helpful, because at the end of the day, we want to provide value, provide just what is reality. What is the reality check when you're trying to purchase a home, sell a home, anything that has to do with real estate or lending, we're here for you. So if you have any other questions, please put them in the comment below, or feel free to reach out to us. So bye bye for now, and please look out for any more postings.